What's up, YouTube family? T.O. here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you today to do another lake breakdown. But this one's going to be a little unique. This is a really small lake that's up in Northeast Texas. We had a subscriber ask me about it. It was called Lake Davy Crockett. So, very small lake. Looks like it's just up and to the east of Lake Bonham. There's also another lake over there as well. I can't remember the name of it, but we'll look it up here in just a second. But we're going to break this one down and see what we can find. Now, I couldn't find too much on this one, but stick around. I got some good stuff for you. Here we go. On a normal video for you guys, I'd be able to take you out and show you some contours, but unfortunately on this lake, I wasn't able to find any contour maps at all. I found plenty of topo maps that were around the area that showed the land around the lake, but I couldn't find anything that actually showed the lake. So I just wanted to start you off here. I went out to the Texas Park and Wildlife Department, went out to their webpage, and just kind of pulled up the lake just to kind of get some information on it. This is a 355 acre lake. Let me take you back to the homepage here. 355 acre on the surface lake. The fluctuation is pretty moderate. I think you'll see that when we do the Google Earth breakdown. And really, as far as cover and stuff, it looks like it's just got a ton of vegetation. So water willow, cattail, bulrush. They even have some pads up there. I'm not sure. A lot of native floating vegetation and stuff like that. So it looks like a really cool little lake. I'm definitely looking forward to going up and checking this one out as well. As far as the species that are in this lake, you've got largemouth, catfish, crappie, and bluegill. It says the largemouth fishing here is excellent, so definitely a lake I want to go check out. If you're a kayaker, this looks like it could be a pretty cool lake as well because you'd be able to pretty much stay out of the wind and stay out of the way of those big boats running by and stuff like that, and just be able to cover a lot of water in a pretty small amount of time. So anyways, this pretty much covers us on what you can find here on the Texas Park and Wildlife site. You can just go out there and search for Davy Crockett Lake. That'll give you all the information. And then the public access facilities, you also have those here up by the dam, pretty much on each side, A and B. You can read more about that there. So with that being said, let's jump over and let's talk about what we found on Google Earth. Jumping into Google Earth, I was able to find some things, but I wasn't able to find a ton for you guys. So what I'm going to do on this video, and pretty much I do this on every video if you actually look in the description, is I have put the link to the KML out here for you. So if you want these points, just go out to the description, click on that KML link, that'll let you download it. Then you can put it in Google Earth, make your modifications, or you can go out and convert that file over for your graphs and then import this into your card. So I've got those out there for you, absolutely free. Go check out the description. All right, so let's jump into this thing. The best year that I could find, the best image that I could find for this was March of 2014. So you can see here the water's down pretty significantly. If I pull this back up to say 2017, you can see the water comes up a lot. So let's go back to 2014. I'm going to start up here at this parking lot. I'm going to work my way down and around, and we're going to end back up here, right here at this point. So right here at the parking lot, obviously the most obvious thing right here would be this ramp. So I've marked the ramp for you guys. There's also a point that comes out here, a little underwater point. Again, if I move it back to 2017, you can see it's not as obvious that it comes out there. There's also another one out here as well. So let's move that back to 2014. You can see what I'm talking about. So I really like that area right there. And then what I've done is I've been able to go through, because when the water was down, I could see where the weed line was. I've marked the weed line for you guys. So if you're out there fishing, that should be pretty close. Now, obviously, those weed lines can fluctuate from time to time and things like that. But when I went through and actually looked at it, even going back, say to 2012 or this is 2008, those weed lines stayed pretty consistent. You can see they're staying consistent here. And then we get to 2014, they're still consistent. In 2017, they look to be consistent as well. Maybe coming back a little bit, not as much there, but this was also March, so a lot of that vegetation had died off. So let's go back to 2014. Here are those weed lines I was talking about. Kind of like this little turn in here. I could see that being somewhat productive depending on the depth that you have there. And then moving over here, you've got another little underwater point. And as I move further back here, just saw a couple things here. Saw these laydowns right here. Saw this laydown right here as well. Moving on down, didn't see much in here at all. I mean, basically you just got this weed line and Just not a lot going on. But when you get back down in here, there were a couple things I really liked. Right off of this spot right in here, looks like you've got some kind of debris. I don't know if that's rock or wood or what it is. You've also got a lay down that's out here and a lay down over here. But as I pull this back, and there's another one right there as well that I marked. If you pull this back, that's out there kind of in the middle of the little pocket there, or whatever you want to call it. I guess that's main lake in this case. But anyways, check those three areas out. I can see that being a pretty good spot if you're having to go offshore on this lake. Those could definitely be some hot spots for you guys to check out. So let's draw this back. We're going to go back to 2014 again. And coming back into here, another laydown there that I showed you guys. This is a pretty decent weed line coming off of a point. So the point's actually going to look like it ends right in here. And you'll see that what I'm talking about here. So the point looks like it ends up here, but your weed line's actually a little bit further out. So definitely fish around that weed line. The break of those weed lines are just absolute great places to be fishing. Also, you've got a couple different laydowns out here, 3 different ones. Zoom that back and show that to you guys real quick. So you can see here's one pile. Got another little pile right here with some debris, and then or laydowns, whatever you want to call them. And then we've got another laydown right here as well. Now, pretty decent weed line that actually comes in here. So maybe get out here and work around this break where this weed line is, and see if you can have some success there too. All right, so then moving on up, we talked about this laydown already, but you've got one right here. And then up here, you've got somewhat of an island. I guess you could call it an island because it looks like if the water's completely up, it's almost an island. It's really close. So I put a saddle right there, but it looks like for the most part, that is actually not going to be somewhere you could actually move your boat across. But you've got some decent weed lines that are out here around this point. So I marked those for you. And then it looks like underwater, you might have some additional, that point might actually come out a little bit further. You could have some additional weed lines, things like that are further out here. And then also I wanted to mark this for you guys earlier, and we're going to mark it right now. See where it gets really brown right there? I think that could be a hump. And the fact that there's a boat sitting on it makes me think there's something there. Now, we can't really see it from Google Earth. It just looks like a brown blob, but it's totally different than everything else around here. My guess is that might actually come up. That could be a high spot. So check that out. And then we're going to keep moving on down here. I didn't see too much going on this bank line, but I love what I found back here. So as I moved back in here, I found 3 different spots back in here. And you'll see exactly by the name of it. But I found some beds. So I've got some beds right in here. And these could be bluegill beds. These could be bass beds. I don't know. They look pretty decent size. But they're fairly close together. But when you zoom in, they're really not that close. So you've got a lot of beds right in here. You got another section right in here. And another section right in here. So definitely want to go check those out. If they're bass beds, that's awesome. If they're bluegill beds, that's like primo bass fishing areas to go and check out. All right, and then moving on up here, there is a little ditch that comes through here. So I went ahead and marked this one for you guys as well. I'm not sure how productive that'll be, but there's definitely a ditch there. So something for them to hang to. It goes all the way out here as well. So check that out. And then moving up here, you just got a couple more things to show you on this side. You got a decent little underwater point that comes out right in here. And this spot looked kind of interesting too. It's almost got like this little sharp point that comes out. That could be rock possibly. If it's rock, there's not a lot of rock in this area, but notice how light this is, really just this one little area. So I'd be scanning around here to see what you could find. And if you can't scan, you definitely just fish around here. This looks like more one of those lakes you just drop the trolling motor down and you go and you try to hit on these hot spots. So a good transition area here as well. You got a pretty decent weed line, but a transition to what looks like or appears to be some kind of rock or a hard spot. So this spot, just this area right in here, I can see this being a really good spot, especially when the grass starts to die off a little bit and pull back. They're gonna relate more to the wood and the rock in that case for whatever they can find. So then moving up here, you've got a pretty decent weed line as well. And then moving out here, you've got an underwater point that's out here, a laydown that's kind of stuck in all this garbage, but you can see it right here. Pretty decent little laydown, another laydown up here as well. Some really gnarly stuff. And this could be one of those lakes where you want to punch a lot, do a lot of flipping, do a lot of swim baits, stuff like that. So definitely weedless type stuff. And then moving on up here, You've got some additional pretty hardcore weed lines going on right in here, but then you've got some other stuff out here as well. So it's really hard to tell, without being out there and fishing this lake to see where these lines are. But this is my guess where the main weed line would be. And again, I marked those for you guys all over this lake. Then moving up here, I've got another point marked for you guys. So you definitely want to check out those points, see what you can find. Looks like you may even have a pretty decent laydown right there off the edge of the point that I missed. So let's mark that too, because that one looks like the biggest one that we've found on the lake. So we're gonna put laydown there. And that's going to cover us for that spot. And then moving up, just saw a couple more things, some weed lines along the dam that look pretty decent. And then we are actually going to be all the way back over a little bit of rock right in here, maybe. I can't tell if that's rock or grass, but you definitely have another weed line that's going on up here too. And that actually takes us all the way back out to the dam, almost where we started. You got a little underwater point here, so check that out. Check out those weed lines. And really, guys, that wraps us up for Davy Crockett Lake. Now, like I mentioned before, this one's going to be offered completely free. Actually, all of them are always offered completely free, but I don't want to sell the SD cards for this one or make any profit off of this one because I don't really feel like I gave you guys enough information on this lake to make it to where it would be worth you guys spending the money. So check out that KML file in the description, see if it helps you out. And until next time, guys, I hope you catch your PB. Take care.